On everybody, welcome to another video. And as I was setting up the tripod to record this, I was setting it up outside to give you an overview of how messy the garage is. I'm just back, stuff is thrown everywhere. Well, when I say I'm just back in the garage. And since I came back, I've had nothing but trouble with my own car. There's an injector went in it, and so on and so forth. So anyway, we're in the garage today. It's pissing fucking rain outside, and I'm going to tidy the garage first, and we're going to make a start on the Cosworth, and I'm going to start doing the suspension, the poly bushes, the what else are we doing? Yeah, all things brakes and suspension related. Even that windy, the camera is shaking. So let's crack on with it. We've received our latest order from Burton, and I'm just going to go through it with you now. So we have a clutch kit. Now we've opted for the standard clutch with this because obviously we're just running stage one. It's not going to be driven that much, and it definitely won't be driven that hard. So a standard clutch is just going to make the car, you know, drive nice and normal feeling on the pedal, at least anyway. Putting in new coilovers, so new top shock mounts and stuff. So they are there. And then we've anti-roll bar rubbers. We have the track control arm, inner and outer bushings there as well. They do make a massive difference for stiffening up the front end, and definitely I think would be a must in all Sierras and Escorts. So what else have we got? Clutch cable. Oh yeah, we got a new accelerator cable. We got a new clutch cable. And we got a new speedo cable. These weren't expensive, so I just went away and got them because I said, you know what, just in case there's any difference in length or anything like that, it's you know, would have been right hand drive to left hand drive. Just in case, I'm just going to get new cables. And look, you know, obviously they're 30 something years old anyway, so it's no harm to put new ones in there. Ford oil filter, Motorcraft oil filter, which is made in Tunisia, the home of Fords. Gas coilovers, these gas gold, I think, that's what they are, maybe, I think, can't remember now. Got those, so we're going to put those in. New actuator, which I just bolted on, and I'm just going to show you guys, for those of you that don't know, where I can remember fitting actuators when I was much younger, and when I was putting on an uprated actuator. I was, how can you know, how do you pull that? How do you get that on there? And then I remember the first time I did, and I made the rod the right size so this would go on, and then all of a sudden the wastegate is rattling and the boost is too low. So the rule of thumb before was, you know, you take it in a couple of turns so that half of the opening is over, we'll say, where it's got to go on top of the wastegate there, so there's tension on it, and that stops the wastegate rattling. And then obviously if you want to adjust your boost afterwards, you're either going to do it through some sort of boost controller, or some people would adjust it on, you know, shortening the actuator by however many turns for the desired boost that you want. So I'm going to show you now what I remember when I saw this for the first time. It was like a eureka moment of how we're going to get that to there, because you will not pull that by hand. So watch this. Right, as you can see, I have the airline plugged in here. I'm going to try and do this with one hand, but you'll get the idea. You'll see what I mean anyway, even if I can't put it on. So by pressurizing the actuator just a little bit, you will see, whoopsie daisy, you will see, and as it moves out, you'll just be able to drop it down on top of the wastegate. I remember when I saw it at first, I thought it was a magic trick. So anyway, that is how you take off an actuator, or you fit an actuator. But don't be careful when you're pressurizing it that, you know, there isn't a massive amount of pressure there, that it's just, you know, a little bit, because you don't want to damage the spring or the seal in there, you know, diaphragm. Right, let's get it fitted. No, that's it, popped on there. So what we'll do is we'll put a little tiny washer on there, and we'll just put a small circlip through that, or an R clip more to the point, and that's it, job done. And I'm going to run like a bleed valve or something on this anyway, I think. So what we'll do is then we just lock up the lock nut here, and that's the actuator and all that sorted. The wishbone is out. No, what I've done, I have the bushing out of this one, and I'm going to fit the poly bushes. So just going to show you, dead simple. Once the old bushings are out, cleaned up the wishbone, gave it a quick coat of paint, nothing major. Just, you know, one fast coat of matte black, and just make sure the center holes are completely cleaned out, which they are, and that is all good to go. So just a small bit of that kind of lubricant that comes with the bushings, push them in either side, and we'll fit the center section in as well. Now I have the other side pushed in. I just want to show you. I'm balancing with one hand here, but okay, it's literally, when you're putting in these bushings, it's literally, they just push in so nice to fit. And I have the other one on that side. So sorry, no, if my hand is wobbling a bit, but it's just easier to do it this way and show you than to try and set it up on a fucking tripod or whatever, because I haven't time for that messing around. No, that is in there. Okay, all you got to do then is get your centerpiece, put that through there. That's it. Push it home. Give it a squeeze. That's that one done. And same here. Just slightly tougher to go through. But that is that, and obviously I can even that up, just give that a couple of taps across and it'll be fine. So that's that one. And this one's after popping out. And that is the other side in. So that's good to fit now. And like I say, those bushings are one of the best upgrades you can put into a Sierra or an Escort Cosworth, because, or even a normal Sierra as well. They just stiffen the front of it up completely. So new anti-roll bar rubbers to go in with that now, and we are laughing. You may wonder why I didn't put in a new bottom arm. Well, that's a genuine Ford arm. It's its original arm. There's zero play whatsoever in the ball joint, so I would rather use that than buy a spurious one and it not last. So it's lasted fine all this time, so there's no problem in using it. And if the ball joint does go, those bushings are completely removable, and they can be fitted to the new arm in the future. The original one here with the original bushing is next to it now, so just wanted to show you guys. I have a cable tie in this one just to keep the bushings in, because obviously the anti-roll bar isn't in the car, and just to keep they do tend to want to pop out, which is fine. But just that's why there's a cable tie on it. Okay, so just to remove the bushing, how I did it was just literally just drill out, blow out the centerpiece, and just as a little collar here then, and you're able to just get a screwdriver behind that, or a chisel or whatever, tap that, they come out there in two halves, dead simple. And the back bushing here then, the inner bushing, is dead simple to take out as well. Just literally I drilled it either side, knocked the center out of it, and you can just literally push the hammer out the back bushing. Then it's not, there's no, on the outside bushing there's no steel part, so it's just rubber, so it actually comes out pretty easy. And that's it. So the ball joint on this one is perfect as well, so that's why I've opted to you know, to stay with the original, like they're its first day arms, like, you know, and so it's all good. Now you'll see the matting that I have here, Dynamat, sound deadening. So I'm after putting that in just to go over the joint and stuff like that. And also I've got this other sound deadening, which is much softer, which is going to be laid on top of it. Now we've got quite a good bit of that, so I'm going to bring it back as far as I can, and just cut it and put it into place there, and that will you know, just add as well to less road noise and so on and so forth. I'm not going to put anything on the bulkhead on the other side, simply because I don't have the correct carpet for it, and you know, the bulkhead is just nice and clean now, so we're just going to leave it like that. So just to stop any engine noise coming in, we're going to use the sound deadening on this side, just in case, because the last thing I want as well, I'd rather leave the bulkhead plain and white rather than put something on there that could potentially, I don't know, catch fire or whatever. So anyway, laying this stuff at the moment. It's in a roll, it's about 5mm thick, spongy stuff, pretty cool, very malleable, and yeah, all good. And that looks slightly better. It's covered over, and the carpet can sit on top of that now. But yeah, definitely, I would look at that as a why not, you know, because I didn't really disturb too much of the original sound deadening, but look, you know, we had that stuff and it was a case of why not. So yeah, all good. Okay, so we have the ECU for the ABS and we have the ECU for the engine management. Putting that through, coming through the body here, or the bulkhead in behind the valve block here. Now the valve block for the ABS is separate on a right hand drive one, and you've got your brake master cylinder and servo and all the rest of it, which is over on that side. On the left hand drive one, all of that is complete in one unit, and the valve block just sits in behind it here and protrudes out. But obviously this is protruding out, and it would, if we moved it over, hit up against the shock turret. So we had to get a right hand drive one, a right hand drive setup, and the plumbing is different. So we've got the plumbing for that to go to there, which is going to be connected in a minute. We've also got the wiring loom, which I've opened up and exposed, because the multi-plug that goes in for the valve, top of the valve block here, is part of the loom obviously, and would end up over here. So I had to open the, as you can see, split open the loom and to expose the plug. So what I'm going to do now, right, is plug that in on top of the valve block and then re-insulate the loom going back over here. And instead of cutting the wires and shortening this one, which I don't want to cut anything, I'm just going to incorporate that back into the loom, so it'll be going back along itself instead of cutting it, because, you know, we just don't want to cut anything. The only difference that I faced is the bottom of the unit has an oval plug on it. It's 2-pin sensor at the bottom, you can't really see it there. I'll just show you on this one what I'm talking about. So that has a square plug, and the one that we have in the car that we got for the right hand drive has an oval plug. No big deal, no problem in sacrificing that plug at all, just for 2 wires. And that's literally the only cutting that has to be done, and the rest of it is just, you know, reconfiguring it for the relocation of the valve block. Right. As for the engine management side of things, that's coming in, and it's actually much longer as well. So we have some cable that we can actually just push back through the grommets that are coming through the bulkhead, and everything is still in the right place as it was, but there's extra length in it, but we can lose that in behind the dash and push that through the bulkhead, and there's no adjustment has to be done to the engine management whatsoever, because everything's still in the same place. The engine isn't the wrong way around, like, you know, as we'll say, everything up top was, so that all plugs in perfect. So at least the engine management side of things is just literally plug and play. That's no problem whatsoever. And if anything, we just, like I said, we just have an extra bit of length in that, so that's all good. We can push that back through the grommet, and that's fine. So all in all, that side of things is perfect. So if you are doing this, The only major problem that you're going to face with wiring, like I said, is the ABS unit. That's going to be split up, but that's very, you know, that's very easy to sort out. It's just the body wiring loom is the problem, and that's the only thing that I would say you have to have right-hand drive body wiring loom from start to back. That you're going to have your fuse box there, and everything that comes out of the fuse box is plug and play for right-hand drive, and everything inside the fuse box and back is plug and play as well. And I think that's just the best way of doing it. You could go extending and chopping and changing, but you really don't want to. For me anyway, I'm sure, you know, there's people have done it that have made up separate looms and crossed them over and all the rest of it. But the less or least amount of wires that are cut, the better, and because it's going to lead to the least amount of problems down the road. So what I'm going to do next is start making this loom back up, so re-insulating that, tidy it all up and have it all sitting in place nicely, and adjust the length that we need to make sure that there is sufficient amount of cable coming out, and we can lose the rest in behind the dash then. Right, so time to get out the insulation tape. Right, I'm going to tell you a story as to why the videos have slowed down, and obviously there's lots of other parts that are in they came in from Burton, and you know, why haven't I filmed those in this video? Well, it's quite simple. We've been waiting for a body wiring loom that we bought 5 weeks ago. We bought it, came out of a scrapped Cosworth in Scotland, and basically it got sent out and it got to our local post office here in Clonakilty, and they couldn't scan it out because the paperwork was wrong. Something to do with customs and all this rubbish since Brexit. It's an absolute nightmare. So anything that we're getting from Burton or anybody else is using an actual courier, we get no problem. But anything that comes via the post is just an absolute nightmare. So despite best efforts and despite getting all the correct documentation and paperwork from the boys in Scotland to us and to Parcel Force, they wouldn't accept it. They had to get it all the way back, and it sat in Dublin for nearly 3 weeks, and it finally made it back to Scotland into their yard just before the weekend. So it's going back out again tomorrow, Monday, and it's going out with a courier. And I can't go any further with what I want to do next, because I really want to put, obviously I want to put the dash in, I want to put the inside back together, I want to put the windscreen back in, I'm going to put the blower in, and I just want to finish, you know, all of that, and I can't do that. So I have videos done of the suspension and all of that, obviously the coilovers and putting in the stub and the steering rack and all that, but there's no point having a massive video on this and no video again for another 2 or 3 weeks. So I'm going to leave this video here, and next week's video, we'll have a video again next Monday, and that will have the fitting of the coilovers, the rack, so on and so forth, and other bits and pieces, anti-roll bar rubbers, other bits and pieces that I've done. And the week afterwards, surely we'll have the wiring loom back in, and I can go through that with you and show you the differences and so on and so forth. So that's it. That's why the videos have slowed down. Apologies on that, and hopefully normal service will resume from the way I'm going to structure next week's video on, and like I said, the wiring loom should be there from then. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and thanks for your patience. And this build is going on far too long now. I really thought this thing would be finished long ago, but it isn't. Will I do it again? Absolutely not. I'll never do another one of these again. Conversions, it's a fucking disaster. Anybody that's watching this, if you're thinking of converting a right-hand drive to, or left-hand drive to right-hand drive, then do it with 2 cars side by side. Don't do it this way, because it is an absolute fucking nightmare. So on that note, I'll talk to you all next week.